Did you know that the ancient Goidelic kingdoms of Ireland had no fixed capital city? Unlike the grand capitals of Rome or Thebes, the Irish high kings did not rule from a single permanent seat of power. Instead, their authority radiated from sacred sites like the Hill of Tara, places steeped in myth and legend, where the boundaries between the mortal world and the divine seemed to blur. These were not bustling cities filled with markets and stone buildings, but ritual centers, fortified, revered, and deeply symbolic. They were gathering places for ceremonies, inaugurations, and the forging of alliances. The king's authority was not tied to a throne room or palace. Instead, it moved with him, his court traveling across the land, reinforcing his bond with the soil, the people, and the ancient traditions of his ancestors. Power in this world was personal and mobile, not anchored to stone walls, but to ancient ceremonies performed at these sacred sites. The king's legitimacy was renewed through ritual, witnessed by nobles, druids, and poets. Royal influence was spread across the landscape, with many regional kings and courts, all bound by complex webs of allegiance and rivalry to the High King. Each region had its own traditions, yet all were united by shared beliefs and rituals. Tara, Emain Macha, and Dun Island were more than just meeting places. They were seen as portals to the otherworld, where kings were inaugurated in sacred union with the land's goddess, symbolizing their role as both ruler and protector. A king's success was measured not by the size of his palace, but by the land's prosperity. Good harvests and abundant livestock meant just rule. Famine or blight could spell his downfall, as the king was seen as the land's living embodiment. The kingdom was defined not by walls or streets, but by its people, its ceremonies, and the sacred landscape that shaped their lives. Every hill, stone, and river had its own story and significance. The king's court, warriors, druids, lawyers, and poets, was a moving institution, projecting authority wherever it went. Each member played a vital role in upholding the laws, traditions, and stories of the land. To truly understand this world is to see how rulers and poets shaped the very meaning of power. Through law, story, and song, they wove the fabric of society and memory. In this society, a well-crafted verse could be as mighty as a sword, and a poet's words could immortalize a king or bring about his ruin. The Goidelic Kingdom was a living tapestry of tradition, ritual, and poetry, where every generation added its own thread to the story of the land. Its legacy is a testament to the enduring power of story, ceremony, and the deep connection between people and the land they call home. The Goidelic world stood on two pillars, on one side the strength and valor of its warriors, and on the other, the enduring wisdom of its poets. These two forces shaped every aspect of life, from the battlefield to the fireside, from the king's hall to the sacred groves. The poet's voice was as vital as the warrior's blade. In a land where memory was power, the spoken word could outlast the sharpest sword. The king led his warriors in defense and honor, his reputation built not only on his prowess in battle, but also on his generosity to his people and his respect for tradition. Yet the poet, or filly, wielded a different kind of power, the mastery of memory, the guardianship of law, and the shaping of legacy through story and song. Poets chronicled heroic deeds, preserved the intricate web of genealogy, and gave meaning to every victory and loss through their praise poems and laments. Their words could immortalize a king or cast his name into oblivion. Without poets, a king's triumphs faded into silence. Without warriors, poets had no stories to tell, no victories to celebrate, and no heroes to praise. Both warriors and poets underwent rigorous training. Warriors in the arts of arms, discipline, and honor. Poets in the labyrinth of lore, language, and the crafting of complex verse. Each path demanded years of dedication and sacrifice. The poet's status was second only to the king, his knowledge a sacred trust. He was advisor, historian, and judge, holding the memory of the people in his mind and the fate of reputations in his words. The kingdom thrived only when sword and verse worked in harmony, each supporting and elevating the other, forging a society where both action and wisdom were honored. The king's might secured the land and its people, the poet's words secured his place in history, ensuring that his deeds would echo through generations. Together, they upheld the structure of their world, balancing force with wisdom and law with legend. The Goidelic people understood that power and poetry were inseparable, each incomplete without the other, each giving meaning and purpose to the other's existence. A forgotten king was one without a poet to sing his name, a defenseless poet, one without a king to protect his words and his life's work. This delicate balance was the secret to their enduring civilization, a harmony that allowed their culture to flourish for centuries. Sword and verse, each incomplete without the other, each a reflection of the other's strength and beauty. Their legacy is a world where action and story are forever entwined, and where the memory of both king and poet lives on in the land, the people, and the tales still told today. In the Goidelic Kingdom, the poet was more than an entertainer. He was a guardian of cosmic order. Praise poems were believed to bring real blessings, good harvests, healthy cattle, victory in battle. The poet was a vital advisor, a spiritual guide, and the custodian of truth, encompassing justice and balance. The poet preserved genealogy, law, and myth, ensuring the memory and identity of the people. His knowledge was the foundation of law and custom, and he often settled disputes or advised on legal matters. Poets enjoyed special protections, traveling freely even in times of war, acting as diplomats and messengers. The poet's sacred duty was to speak truth, preserve memory, and maintain the balance of society. His words shaped the destiny of kings and kingdoms alike. In the Goidelic world, the poet's voice was the conscience of the land. In the ancient courts of the Goidelic world, the king and his chief poet were bound by a relationship of mutual necessity. Legitimacy for the king, patronage and influence for the poet. This partnership was not merely ceremonial, it was the very heartbeat of governance and culture. The Olim, or chief poet, stood as the king's closest advisor, his words often cloaked in veiled verse and intricate allegory. Through poetry, the Olim could offer wisdom, challenge decisions, or even gently rebuke the king, all while maintaining the dignity of the court. With carefully crafted lines, the poet could remind the king of his ancestors' deeds, warn of hubris, or guide him toward justice. These stories and cautionary tales were more than entertainment. They were lessons, woven into the very fabric of leadership. Praise poems set the standard for kingship, subtly pressuring rulers to embody virtues like justice, generosity, and wisdom. The poet's words became a mirror, reflecting the king's actions back to him and to the people. The absence of praise, or the sting of a critical verse, could serve as a powerful corrective, signaling public disapproval or warning of a ruler's missteps. In this way, poetry became a form of gentle yet effective accountability. The poet shaped not only the king's public image but also his private conscience, using verse as a tool of governance and moral guidance. Their influence extended beyond the throne room, shaping the very soul of the kingdom. Wise kings listened to their poets, understanding that their words reflected both the will of the people and the accumulated wisdom of tradition. To ignore the poet was to risk losing touch with the heart of the realm. Counsel in rhyme elevated political discourse, grounding it in shared history, myth, and collective memory. The poet's voice was a bridge between ruler and ruled, past and present. The poet's verse was not mere decoration but a fundamental tool of statecraft, an instrument for shaping policy, inspiring courage, and preserving the legacy of the king. In the Goidelic court, poetry guided the hand that held the sword, reminding rulers that true power lay in wisdom as much as in might. The greatest rulers were those who valued both strength and song, understanding that the harmony between them was the foundation of a just and enduring reign. Cormac MacAirt, legendary High King of Ireland, embodied the union of power and wisdom. Remembered as a warrior and a lawgiver, his reign was a golden age of peace and justice. Cormac's court at Tara was a center of learning where poets and judges codified tradition. His instructions of Cormac offered timeless advice on rulership, justice, and humility. Cormac's greatest strength was his commitment to truth, even ruling against himself to uphold justice. He showed that true kingship was earned through wisdom and fairness, not just force. His legacy, preserved by poets, is the ideal of the philosopher king. Dallan Forgael, chief poet of Ireland, stood as the equal of kings. When High King Aed sought to banish the poets, Dallan defended their essential role at the Assembly of Druim Ket. He argued that without poets, genealogy, law, and memory would vanish. Society itself would unravel. Dallan's eloquence, supported by St. Columba, swayed the assembly and saved the poets, though their privileges were reformed. This story shows the poet's power. He challenged the king not with force, but with words and tradition. In the Goidelic world, the poet was a real check on royal authority. Dallan's victory proved that the pen could indeed be mightier than the sword. The poet's voice was indispensable to the kingdom's survival. Satire was the poet's deadliest weapon, feared even by kings. A satirical verse could ruin a person's honor, inflict shame, and even cause physical harm according to belief. Honor was everything. A king shamed by satire lost loyalty and respect. Satire enforced social norms, holding the powerful accountable. There were grades of satire, from direct attacks to ritual curses, each with real consequences. Poets were protected by law, but unjust satire brought penalties. Words were believed to shape reality. Praise brought prosperity. Satire brought ruin. The threat of satire kept even the mightiest rulers in check. Poets were not just artists, they were enforcers of the social code. In the Goidelic world, a sharp tongue could be deadlier than any blade. The Goidelic kingdoms have faded, but their legacy endures in stone, story, and song. Epic tales like the and mythological cycles were preserved by poets and later by monks. Manuscripts such as the Book of Leinster are treasure troves of myth, history, and poetry. Goidelic mythology has inspired writers and artists for centuries, from Arthurian legends to Yeats. This tradition is a living legacy, evolving and inspiring new generations. Studying the Goidelic Kingdom reveals a society that valued verse as much as the sword. Their civilization was built on the dual pillars of power and poetry. Though their fortresses have crumbled, their words remain. The spirit of the Goidelic world lives on in the stories we tell. Their wisdom and wonder continue to inspire us today. The Goidelic Kingdom story is just one chapter in the vast history of the Celts. We've seen how sword and verse shaped a unique civilization, and how words could wield as much power as arms. The Celtic world is rich with tales of heroes, artists, and epic battles waiting to be explored. By understanding this shared past, we better understand ourselves. Join us as we uncover more forgotten kingdoms and lost traditions. Subscribe for more journeys into history's depths. Thank you for exploring the world of the Goidelic Kingdom with us.